When I was 14, I severely shattered my ankle, and this significantly limited my ankle mobility and allowing myself to track my knees over my toes, also known as ankle dorsiflexion. And it's so important that we use this for going down the stairs, getting up and off of a chair, getting into a squat, or even a deep squat. So you can only imagine the amount of scar tissue that has built up in my foot, my ankle, my tibia, my fibula, and just locking it in place. So if you're here looking to improve your ankle dorsiflexion, how your ankle and your knee can track over your toe, unlock these areas and understand the biomechanics and corrective exercise to allow this to happen, then you're at the right place. One big mistake that I was trying to do was just jam my ankle over my foot, but I didn't really realize what needed to happen in relation to your tibia, so your shin bone, and your foot. So if we have a blockage in the foot, this prevents our tibia from internally rotating and acting on true, genuine pronation of the foot, which flattens out and allows us to bring the knee further over the toes. So if we are simply just jamming this forwards, we're not actually creating an effective release. What needs to happen to allow ankle dorsiflexion is your tibia needs to internally rotate as you track the knee over the toes, which acts on that pronation of the foot. So if we again are jammed, this is not going to happen. So what we need to do as an effective approach is decompress the foot, the fascia in the foot, also known as the plantar fascia. But we also need to work in other key areas to unlock the tibia to allow it to internally rotate and then act on true pronation. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you some fascia decompressions. They're very powerful fascia decompression techniques to release, and then we need to understand the biomechanics and how to do some corrective exercises to rebuild this and allow this to happen. So all you need is a rolled up towel or a block from block therapy, which is going to be significantly more effective, especially in these positions. And let's get started. With your block from block therapy or a rolled up towel, let's position this on the bottom of the foot just in front of the heel. So we're a little bit further back on the foot. We first need this to unlock to allow the calcaneus, which is your heel bone, to be able to move backwards when we are trying to create proper dorsiflexion and pronation of the foot. So nice and slow, bring your foot directly on the block and just slowly start building this pressure. You don't have to jump into it too quickly, and then support your hands on the wall. And if you can, over time, it might not be your first time, you can bring all of your weight onto that one foot. Now we want to spend a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes in this position while really focusing on our diaphragmatic breathing. This is going to help decompress our fascia, which gets so dense in this area. Once you've settled in, you can slowly search towards the right or towards the left and just stick and hang around in those areas that are a little bit more painful, because that's generally where there is more compression. So once you spend 3 to 5 minutes, nice and slow, exhale up and off. For this next position, we're going to be focusing on the lateral calf. So this is going to be really important to help us to internally rotate that tibia. If it's really glued and locked, it's going to be very challenging just trying to allow it to internally rotate with some corrective exercises. We need to release it first. So you're going to have the block of the towel positioned on the upper lateral portion of your calf, and then nice and slow, just bring both legs directly on top. And then let's start connecting to the breath. But let's feel that pressure build up. We want to feel and find some of that pain that hurts so good. I know there's a lot of compression in here, but it's very crucial that we go in and unlock this area. You're going to notice a big change once you complete this position. Again, same rule of thumb, spending 3 to 5 minutes here. Your breath is your guide. You can search towards the front or towards the back. The slower you move, the deeper you will get. You can also experiment just very slowly and subtly straightening and bending the knees. Nothing too much that's going to move you off of the block. So once you spend the time there, nice and slow, exhale up and off. For this next position, we're going to be working the Achilles and the hamstrings, but more of the Achilles focus. So nice and slow, we're just going to sit on the block or the rolled up towel like this. And trust me, it's not going to be a lot of pressure to start really feeling this area light up. So let's connect to that breath. Make sure that you're not moving too fast or applying too much pressure too soon. You want to respect your limits. So same rule of thumb, spend a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes here. Make sure that you're breathing through this area. If it's too painful at any point, just ease off and reconnect at a less intensity. We're trying to release our fascia. We're not trying to forcefully tear and cause that release. There's a big difference. So when you're ready, exhale up and off. If you like this approach of fascia decompression and you felt a relief, you can check out our block therapy starter package so you can get your own block with many different classes targeting the entire body. I'll have that linked in the description below. Next, we're going to be doing an exercise that works on strengthening tibia internal rotation, which is our next step. And all you need is somewhere to sit on, and you can either do this with your own body weight, or you can use a resistance band, which is definitely a progression. I'm going to be showing it with the resistance band. Now, let's hook this band so it's on the inside portion of the foot, just below the ball of the big toe. Now, we're still going to be focusing on, of course, one foot and one leg at a time. Now I want you to hold your thigh like this so that you can almost feel these fingers are just kind of massaged and into the hamstrings. We want to keep this stable. So all we're focusing on is training the tibia to internally rotate. So when I bring my foot out like this, I want to bring it in as much as I can. Now I'm isolating the tibia here to internally rotate. So I don't want anything weird happening with my hip. I don't want us to focus just too much on the foot. Really just try to think that the tibia is doing the work and the foot is just coming along for the ride. So we're going to be doing about 10 to 15 slow repetitions. Exhale as you internally rotate. Inhale as you nice and slow bring this back. So my heel is making contact with the floor the entire time. And again, you can do this just without a resistance band, and it's just going to be looking like this. Internally rotate. We're going to come back to neutral and internally rotate. For this next exercise, we're going to start really bringing this all together in the split squat variation. So this is going to bring now the foot, the ankle, the knee, and the hip all into this understanding on how to work together to allow our knee to really effectively track over the toe. And now we're adding more weight. We're adding our body weight. And of course, you can over time add more load by just literally holding on to more weight. Now with this band, I want this wrapped around the outside portion of your calf like this. I'm at about a 45-degree angle, so here it's pulling this tibia, my shin bone, into more internal rotation. But now what we need to do is be able to stabilize the hip. So we want to engage the glute to allow the knee to be over the toes and the hip to be in alignment with the knee and the toes. And then we're going to be taking a step back like this. And the next thing I really want you to focus on is the inner heel and the ball of the big toe. This is where we need to bring our awareness so that when we're pushing into the ground, we're feeling the foot pronate, meaning the arch getting closer to the floor, but don't let the outside of your foot lift off of the ground. Just keep that contact still there. Just bias these 2 points. So now as we take a step back, nice and slow, as I'm bringing and bending my knee over the toes, this is already causing my shin bone to internally rotate. But now we're allowing this to pull it into more internal rotation, which is going to act on the foot to pronate. And now keep that glute engaged so that we're still in alignment. And then we're going to be pushing through the arch of the foot and back on up to the starting position. So what one rep would look like is nice and slow. I'm coming down, my knees tracking over the toes. I'm feeling the inner heel ball of the big toe, and then I'm exhaling, pushing through that arch and coming back up. To see this from more of a side angle, we're gonna nice and slow get into the split squat, feeling the inner heel ball of the big toe, keeping everything engaged, push up through that arch. Make sure you perform about 5 to 10 slow, controlled repetitions and do about 2 to 3 sets. For the routine to follow, we're going to be starting with that foot position, spending 3 to 5 minutes there, then moving to that lateral calf position, another 3 to 5 minutes, and then into the Achilles and hamstring position where we're kind of sandwiching that block. You guessed it, another 3 to 5 minutes, and then we're going to be working on those tibia internal rotations, perform about 10 to 15 slow and controlled repetitions, doing 2 to 3 sets. And then we move into the split squat variation, and you're going to be performing 5 to 10 repetitions. It takes a lot of focus and control to do that, but it's going to be really connecting the dots for all of this to work together. I understand that if we really segment this from one side to the other, this is a pretty long routine, but being able to go in and decompress this much, you're really going to effectively make this change so much quicker than just doing corrective exercises. If I just did corrective exercises, I wouldn't have the ankle mobility I do today because I had so much scar tissue built up. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment below if you enjoyed this and it helped you out. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.